right, we are going to create an equation numeric test item. An equation numeric item is just like an auto-scored constructed response item, only it's designed to be used for math items only. So I'm going to create an item, and I'm going to change it to an EQ type item. So you'll see that it gives the math example. And I'm going to create an item that is directly from the second trimester, 5th grade math benchmark. So the DOK level of this item is 1. The claim is concepts and procedures. The item standard is content areas math, 5th grade. Fractions. And B7A. All right, now that I have all of this done, let's get to the item creation. So I'm going to type in the prompt just as it is. Find the quotient. Now, this is where I'm going to add my equation. I'm not going to use my regular typing with my keyboard. I'm going to use my insert equation tool. And my equation is 1/5 divided by 3. So I am going to type it using my math tools. So I'm adding in a fraction, and I want 1/5 divided by 3. I could put in an equal sign or not. Again, it's up to you as you're choosing. And I'm going to click OK. So you'll see that it comes out correctly. I am now going to insert an auto score equation text box. You'll see you have an option for a regular auto score text box. If, for instance, you wanted to have them maybe type in a word before they typed in the equation, you can add in an auto score text box. For this, though, I'm simply doing it very basic. I'm going to add my auto score equation text box. Now, this is where I need to add some choices. My equation palette. I am making this for 5th grade, so I'm going to use the grades 3 through 5 toolbox. So you'll see these are the options it gives the students to enter in. These are the only options that they have. 6th grade looks a little different, as does 7th, 8th, and 9th. So you'll see just because you are in 8th grade, you can use the grade 6 palette if you'd like to limit them, if you'd like to limit their options. On the other hand, if you're in 5th grade, you can give them the 7th grade palette, depending on the tools that you want them to use. So I'm going to do the grades 3 through 5. It's the more basic one. Now, let's say I had a variable. I don't for this problem, but let's say I had a variable that I wanted to give them the option of adding R. So that as a variable choice. So in this box up here, I would add R. And it gives them it will add a box over here that they would be able to click to enter in R. When you are using the equation numeric item type, it does block out the use of the keyboard. That eliminates extra spaces. It eliminates them filling in words when they should be entering in numbers. It really does help them be the most successful that they can be for math item types. So I don't actually want this variable, so I'm going to delete it. And you'll see my auto score field is an equation you do. If you add the regular auto score text box, it gives you an option because I already said this was an equation text box. It is there. And here I want to add in my correct answer. So my correct answer for this item is 1/15. So I'm going to enter in 1/15. Now, Because there are no other options, I don't have to worry about any extra answers. If this was a situation where instead of 1/15th, I might accept 2/30ths or 3/45ths, let's say, if I'm not looking for simplest form, I would need to make sure that I added in any possible answers that I want. This does include zeros, for instance, after a decimal point. So if your answer is 40.1, and that's what you would accept as correct. But you've been working on decimals, and when they complete the problem, maybe they would get 40.10. That doesn't change the correctness of the problem, the correctness of the answer. So what you'd need to do is either specify the number of decimal points or what place you want them to go to, or you would need to then put 40.1 and 40.10 as options for what you would accept as correct. Just as I talked about in the auto-scored constructed response, the EQ type, you do have the ability to go into constructed response scoring and override any computer scoring for this. I will say I do feel that the computer is usually extremely accurate when scoring EQ types. I've looked at many different tests that have been taken, and I have not found a situation yet where a student has put an answer that is visually correct, but for some reason the computer marked it wrong. I have not come across that at all. So I have my answer. I do want to double check my rubric. 0 or 1, correct or incorrect. Again, if you had more than one EQ box or more than one auto score type box, your scoring directions would look different, but this is correct. So I'm going to preview it online. And when we previewed the regular auto score text box, there was not an on-screen menu because I was using the keyboard. For this, I am limited to what I have here. So I am not able to use my letter keys. I'm not able to use, for instance, a slash instead of doing a regular fraction type question. I can type in using my number keys and my delete key, but otherwise I am limited to what I'm doing here. So you'll see the child would push the fraction button, and then they would enter in the correct answer here, and then they would move on. Using this menu, especially in the case of fractions or parentheses, your students will need some practice with. So I really do recommend creating maybe a few of these item types and giving them as practice for using the on-screen menus. The on-screen tool menu is extremely similar to the menus that they will use on SBAC. So it's also excellent practice excellent tool practice for those questions also. Just like every other item, when I'm done previewing it and I'm sure it's how I want it to be, I will click Save and Finish to generate my test ID or my question ID number. This is the number that I would want to save, either jot down on paper or paste it into a document so that when I go back to create my test later, it's easy to access the items. All right, that is how you create an EQ type. Thank you.